So the xBrat Zone Trader Pro, the basics. So this is an initial video to allow our beta testers, there are still a few places available, so check out the links below to get it loaded and understand the basics. And then we're going to be doing some live sessions to start to build some more logic in there. So let's go through this. So the main idea with this is the confluence of multiple time frame support and resistance zones. So in my book, Confluence Not Coincidence, we look at how those multiple time frame support and resistance zones, when there's a confluence of them, 2, 3 or maybe more, they're very strong support and resistance, and they can be broken through, and when they do, it's a very big move, or they can hit as support or resistance and reverse. So this is what we're looking for with the Zone Trader Pro. There's 2 types of trades. The reversal trade, so when we're moving up in this case and we hit a confluence of resistance here and we bounce back down, we get a short and we go short to the next zone. Then we get the continuation trade. Left of this chart here, we see it coming down, it breaks down through this confluence of those both 30 and 60-minute zones here, and it goes with a lot of force. A lot of that catalyst is economic data. So this is what the chart looks like when you first put it up, and one of the big safety features that we've built into the default settings is that the Zone Trader Pro, the automated entries are disabled, and I'll go through where that checkbox is to change that setting. But one of the most important things is when you've put it up, you have to click that to enable, and we'll see what that looks like in a second. So at the bottom here we've got the profit plot, so every trade, every candle that closes, you can see goes up and down, and that's where that profit plot is. And we can see in the middle here there's a couple of small losing trades on this very narrow confluence zone here. And then we can see the profit plots here for the big winning trades on this particular chart. So let's go to the same chart, but this time we can see the Zone Trader Pro is now active. It's coloured in green, and we can see it's lit up on the right hand side on the control panel. Other buttons on there are we can disable longs only while this is running if we wanted to. We can disable shorts if we wanted to, and if we're in a trade and we wanted to flatten, we can click the flatten button. Very, very simple. We also have here on the left hand side the time zones that are active right now, and again in the settings you can see those, and whether everything's checked except for show swings. You can actually check that and show the swings if you really needed to, but again it just shows you which zones are active on the chart. Then one point to note here, and I'm going to go through the settings in a minute, is we can see here it automatically closes at the end of the session. That is something that you need to tell the program to do. I'm going to go through those settings in a minute. So these are all the default settings. I want to go through them, and then as we're doing our live sessions and beta testing the Zone Trader Pro, we're going to be adjusting these to try and find initially an ideal sort of default settings to change to when we get that, and we'll get a template for that going. So the first thing you do is right click on the chart, click strategies, click Zone Trader Pro, and this will come up on top of the chart here with all the things. So we see the Zone Trader Pro 1.0 beta 4 there is the version I'm using for this particular video. It will change, and then everything's on the right. So let's go through some of these settings. I'm going to break down each little section really. So first of all, this is where you always want to start with sim when you're beta testing, whether you're simulating a specific automated strategy. Start with sim first, and then you can actually click the down arrow and select your live account in which you want to trade at a later date. This is the enabled bit here. So this check button here is once you first loaded up your chart. Remember, it's not on your chart. You need to enable it. So you would just come in here, you would right click on the chart, go to strategies, click enabled, go down to the bottom, click apply, and it comes up on your chart, and you just see what I went through, what the chart looks like. So auto entry is enabled on startup. This is unchecked. So when you do start that up, you get that first date with everything blacked out, and it will not trade automatically. That's a safety issue that we've put into the default settings, and then everything else is enabled. One thing here, exit on session close is actually disabled on default at this moment in time. One thing, reason why we added this is a lot of people don't like to carry over when the session closes. So if you check that box and then save and apply, and we'll go through it in the live sessions, if you're in a trade, it will just take you out at the end of the session. Those that like to roll them over, you can leave this unchecked. So let's go through the reversal trade to begin with, and go through some of the points on the settings here that are default to begin with. So again, the reversal trade is enabled. You may only want to, you may not want to do the reversal trade, so uncheck that and it won't do the reversal trades. The entry mode at the moment is set to aggressive, and that's a fib 236. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there at the moment, but when we go on the live sessions with the beta test group, I'll actually show you what that logic means. But there is a conservative entry mode as well at 382. There's also here use market order if surpassed. So sometimes if we're on a small time frame, that 236 could be surpassed, but there's still enough risk to reward, so it will use a market order instead. The standard order is a stop market order. This is something that we're going to be working on as part of the beta test group. So this is allow entry from one native zone. This is unchecked at the moment. So if we're on a 10 minute, for example, time frame on the chart, and there is a single 60-minute zone with no confluences, in theory you can trade the reversal if it hits that and moves back down or up, depending on where it's support or resistance. But this moment in time, that's unchecked, because this is one of the things we're going to be working on when we're optimizing with the beta testers. The next thing is the minimum risk to reward. So this is fresh air. So from the entry, the 236 entry, and from the stop, that's classed as one whole one, 100%. There needs to be 161% to the next support or resistance zone, whether that's a confluence zone or a single zone. You can change that figure if you wanted it, if it was very aggressive, but we put that at 161 because that's been my default for 20 years. The minimum fig anchor distance is very important here, because when I showed you that first chart, you can see we've got those little losses. When we get when we're on a small time frame, we get those very narrow confluence zones. Sometimes we'll keep testing that, so we can put a minimum, and the minimum at the moment is set at 30 ticks. So if that zone is at 25 ticks, it won't trade it, it's too small, and you can change that figure. Entry quantity 2 is default, again that can be changed, and the exit next zone quantity, so basically when we enter the trade, the next zone on this particular default setting for reversals, it will take both contracts out. Or if there's fresh air or at all-time highs, it's broken through and there's no other zone in sight, there's a max fib percentage of 500% here, and that's when it will take that particular. Again, that can be optimized and those figures can be changed. Exit at cross quantity, so that's at 0 at the moment, and we're going to go and look at those terms in a minute. So we have 2 EMAs on there, and we can adjust those, and I'll talk about that setting in a little while. But we can actually select not to actually take profit at the zone, or take one contract at the zone and wait and let the other one run to see if it can go further, and when those EMAs crosses, it will take out the final contract. It will only get the exit across if we've gone through a minimum of 100%, but again we can change that. So this is an alternative on the right here, where we get an entry quantity 2, but we only exit one contract at the next zone, or maximum 500 fib, and then the next contract would, this is a setting we could change, that would the final remaining contract would exit at cross with a minimum if it's moved through 100%. So initial stop loss offset is 2 ticks. Again, that can be changed to 1 if you wanted to. Use BE stop loss. So the break-even stop loss at the moment default is 100. So when the trade moves through 100% fib, we adjust the stop loss to one tick. Okay, automatically. Again, that can be changed. Next, zone stop loss update. So you may not want to update the stop loss to break even until it hits the next zone. That's your choice. At the moment, it's unchecked. And then we've got stop loss updates. We can stop that. So at the moment, it's set at 50.25. But again, what we'll be looking for is to do something like this. So again, remember when we go through 100, it puts it at break even. So in this particular case with these settings, when it goes through 160, we adjust the stop loss to 100 fib. And then the stop loss update 2, when it goes through 260, we adjust it to 160. And then there's a third option as well. And those can be all changed depending on the instrument you're trading, and how fast it reacts to those movements. So the continuation trade, that's the one that breaks through, remember. So again, very, very similar. Again, if you did want to do continuation trade, you could uncheck that. It would only trade the reversals. Entry mode, again, aggressive is default. And again, default is market order if surpassed. Same sort of settings here, but this one as default is different because when we get that breakthrough, that continuation trade, it usually moves pretty quick. So as a default, I've put that in there to really give us that option. Minimum risk reward is the same, minimum fib anchor is the same. That can be changed, but this time we've got one exit at the next zone, and then the other one at the cross, the EMA cross. Purely because sometimes when we get this continuation trading, it breaks through a confluence of zones. It almost is like it's into fresh air and it wants to keep going, and the momentum can be quite a bit stronger. Initial break even and everything else is still pretty much the same as before, but again we can change those to update those stop losses at different fib points, and again that will come with practice as we're going through the live sessions and the beta testers are using this in anger. Some more settings now further down. One thing that we see at the moment, we have the native time frame. So whichever time frame you're on the chart will be active, and then the 15, 30 and 60. So these are the ones that are active right now. But if you're trading on a 30-minute time frame, for example, with the ZoneTrader Pro, you may want to activate the daily time zone and have those confluences play in there. But at the moment, default daily and weekly is disabled. As we can see here, that can be changed. So the next thing really is that fast and slow EMA. Those two EMAs, you can see on the chart here, the red and the green, and how sort of conservative or aggressive we are depends on those figures. So the fast EMA at 13, slow EMA at 21. When those cross, the trade is exited like here. You see here, close market, exit cross. You can see the EMA is crossing at that point here. Okay, so that's the point in which we could say that it's reverse. We could be more aggressive with that, but if we're more aggressive, it may cross too early on these little pullbacks. Again, it's trying to understand and optimize how that specific instrument moves when we get those reversals or indeed those continuation trades. And then the P&L, the profit and loss protection, we are going to cover that in the more advanced sessions as we go through the live sessions there. Okay, so the next thing really I want to talk about trading sessions. So at the moment this is disabled, so we'll just trade 24 hours a day as long as the markets are open. Okay, the alternatives, and that's how when we start to work on those optimizations, is that we can select days, so we can say Monday to Monday, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it will trade during those times. We can select Tuesdays. There's lots of settings. There's 15 options in there to do that, and that's when we start to work through those optimization classes. And then the next one is all days. So you could trade all days between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. You could change that to 2:30 a.m. to 4 a.m. There's lots of options, and there's 10 options there to do that. And then you can also enable the email alert. So if you're running this and you're away from your computer, you could always get an alert by email to say that an order's gone in and you're in a trade. So that's one option there. And then we do have a couple more. We have one of the big things here is require account commissions. So we're going to go through this in the live session. So when you're doing back testing and optimization, it's good to include those commissions, but you need to set those commissions for the instruments depending on your NinjaTrader, whether it's lifetime, lease, or whatever it is. And we'll go through that in the live session. The write the verbose log is very important, especially when we're beta testing or when you're simulating. If something doesn't look right, something goes wrong, that log will be written. You can download that log, send it to us, and we can use that to help identify an issue and then obviously provide updates. And that's the whole point of beta testing. And then you can also select write the trade data to a CSV as well if you wanted to do that. And then for some real life things, really, at the moment the slippage is 0, but when you're back testing, if you want to put that 1 and 2 to be realistic, you can do that as well. So that's the basics of the ZoneTrader Pro as we go into this beta test phase where we're going to have our users that have purchased a lifetime license, the only time that this is available, lifetime license, because you're being rewarded to work with me and my team to develop this into something really, really cool, and hopefully we'll get that done in the next 6 months. So if you're seeing this video and we've still got some of those 20 places left, check out the link below this video if it's still there to get on board with our ZoneTrader Pro, the beta testing group, to really make this work.